So for months, rumors and whispers have swirled that Xi Jinping has lost control of the party to Zhang Youxia and the party elders. But this isn't a simple case of one faction overpowering another. Even within the ranks of the party elders, there are competing priorities for what China's next phase should look like. Some want to save the regime from collapse, others want to push for political reforms, some focus on reviving the economy, and there are those who want absolute control just to survive this life and death struggle. Zhang Youxia has supposedly gambled everything to take down Xi Jinping. For a few weeks, the political center in Beijing appeared deadlocked. Xi Jinping disappeared and then resisted change. Zhang Youxia, backed by military force, demanded it. And the party elders were caught in the middle, trying to maintain a fragile balance. All the signs and rumors pointing to Xi Jinping's loss of power reached a new phase yesterday when Xi Jinping himself made an announcement on behalf of the party. In effect, he confirmed his own decline. This marks a major milestone. The deadlock at the top of the Communist Party has officially broken, and that Xi Jinping has lost to Zhang Youxia in the latest round. Now, CCP didn't announce its monthly Politburo meeting in May, which has triggered a flood of speculation. It was then rumored that a secret expanded Politburo meeting did take place, and even some speeches by attendees were leaked. As June rolled on, people wondered, will there even be a Politburo meeting this month? Because missing another one would signal that something has gone terribly wrong. Then, just in time, on the last day of the month, an official report on the June Politburo meeting was released. Yesterday, Xinhua published the bulletin. It was the shortest in recent months. Previous bulletins reporting the monthly Politburo meetings ranged from 520 words to 1,200 words. This one, just 331 words. Once again, the old saying proves true. The fewer the words, the bigger the matter. The short announcement, subtle as it is, serves as an official signal of Xi's losing power. And notably, it was Xi Jinping himself who presided over the meeting. So let me first tell you what this short bulletin said. Okay, let me just read it to you. It said, the Politburo of CPC Central Committee held a meeting on June 30th to review the, quote, regulations on the work of the Central Party decision-making and consolidation body. Xi Jinping, General Secretary of the CPC Central Committee, presided over the meeting. The meeting emphasized that the establishment of the Central Party decision-making and coordination body is an important institutional arrangement for improving centralized and unified leadership by the party over major work and ensuring effective implementation of key tasks. Issuing the regulations on this decision-making and coordination body further standardizes the setup, functions, and operation of such a body, and is significant for enhancing top-level planning, overall coordination, policy implementation, and supervisory functions over major initiatives. So how should we interpret it, right? So the core message is that it is to announce the establishment of this Central Party decision-making and coordination body. This body basically assumes the very role that Xi Jinping once held in making decisions, meaning Xi is no longer the highest authority in the CCP. He now has a boss, and that boss is this new decision-making body. In fact, the idea isn't entirely new within the CCP's own power structure. Back in the early days of the PRC, similar small groups existed. And during Deng Xiaoping's time, many party elders, though retired and unable to hold full-time positions, still wanted to influence key decisions. So to accommodate them, Deng Xiaoping set up a central advisory commission, which effectively served as the highest authority in practice. It acted as a check on party secretaries like Hu Yaobang and Zhao Ziyang, while not taking on responsibility for executing decisions. And because that task, executing the decisions, remained with the party secretary. So the first major point we must highlight from yesterday's announcement is this. Xi Jinping, the party secretary, is no longer the top authority. He's now managed by this new decision-making and coordination body or group. And the repeated emphasis on this new body's role, handling major initiatives, top-level planning and coordination, shows just how expansive its power really is. And unlike Deng Xiaoping's advisory group, this new body isn't just for advice. It controls the full chain of power, from policy formation to execution. In effect, it is now the de facto highest governing body of the CCP. And that brings us to the second major point, the timing. Now, think about it. The fact that these regulations are being introduced signals that this body was not just created yesterday. It has already been operating in secret for some time. But operating at the highest level of power in secret poses risks. So now the leadership needs to institutionalize it, to normalize and publicly acknowledge its existence as soon as possible. By doing this, they lock in the new power structure and make it much harder to reverse. In other words, it's reasonable to infer that the creation of this new body and the drafting of regulations to restrain Xi Jinping's authority was formally decided in May, most likely during the rumored expanded Politburo meeting. That's when the idea was born and the groundwork was being laid. What we're seeing now is a public rollout. And this indirectly confirms that the expanded Politburo meeting in May did happen, and those leaked speeches should not be entirely dismissed. Now, some people may say, wait a minute, what if Xi Jinping initiated all of this himself? Because after all, he chaired the meeting, didn't he, right? But think about it. If Xi Jinping were still in full control, would he suddenly create regulations to restrict his own authority? Would he voluntarily allow the formation of a new body that effectively governs over him? I don't think so. That's not his style. These kinds of constraints can only come from external pressure, someone beyond his control. The fact that he had to preside over the meeting and make the announcement himself is telling. It shows just how much control he has already lost. His opponents are forcing him to be the one who announces it in order to make the power transition appear orderly, legitimate, and as if it were orchestrated by Xi Jinping himself. So despite the appearance of unity, signs suggest a political storm is building in Zhongnanhai. China is approaching a critical tipping point. This announcement could trigger a chain reaction of sensitive developments. Think about it, how grassroots officials and the public will react to this remains unpredictable. We'll need to watch closely. I want to say, if you haven't already, please subscribe. I'll continue bringing you real-time analysis and insights on upcoming regime change.